915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. This is 915 Talk, and I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we are yet again broadcasting from the heart of the world's largest borderplex. We are here at the KELP studio in El Paso, and today we have Mac Daddy Del Norte on the board. Mac Daddy, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing pretty good, Andy. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm thinking today about us being in the heart of the world's largest borderplex at the KELP studio in El Paso.
Yes, sir.
And I'm thinking about this being called 915 Talk.
Okay.
we painted ourselves into a corner with the name of this show, 915 Talk.
Yes.
Because we broadcast outside of the 915.
Oh, yes.
We're here at the KELP studio in El Paso, but we broadcast beyond El Paso. So,
That's true.
So, of course, a large part of our audience is in southern New Mexico. So we're looking to get more and more guests from up Las Cruces way and so on and so forth. And I hope our listeners have noticed that.
Yeah.
And in some ways, we are very much two separate communities, you know, Las Cruces and El Paso. But in other ways, we are together.
Amen.
So I think it is useful for us to hear about each other, get excited about what's going on in Las Cruces, or if you're up in Las Cruces, get excited about what's going on in El Paso. Let's be praying for each other. Let's go to each other's events even, you know, all that kind of thing.
Definitely.
So I think from time to time, we're going to call it 575 Talk.
Okay. I like that. That's really nice.
So today we're going to be talking a little bit about counseling. We're going to be talking about families. We're going to be talking even about some pretty heavy subjects about trauma.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking with the executive director of Amistad Family Services. In Las Cruces.
In Las Cruces.
Yeah. And it's also Cornerstone Christian Counseling. So he's very special. Do you know why he's special?
Yeah, sure. Because he is a unique expression of an endlessly creative God.
That does make him special. But the other thing that really makes him special is he listens to Christian radio, including KELP.
Awesome.
I met him recently, and I heard he was listening to KELP, and I was like, oh, man.
Gotta have him on the show.
That's the kind of guy we got to have.
There you go.
So I want to jump right into this conversation. So without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to the executive director of Amistad Family Services, the one, the only, Mr. Deryl Palmer. Deryl, welcome to 575 Talk.
Thanks for having me, Andy.
Yeah, I was saying it was so much fun to meet you recently and to hear that you listen to Christian radio, including KELP. So always fun to interview and have a deeper conversation with one of our listeners. Let our listeners know a little bit about what Amistad is and also Cornerstone Christian Counseling.
Sure. Amistad was a small nonprofit counseling agency that we founded in 2011. At the time, it was just myself and one other counselor. And over these 15 years, it's grown. And between Amistad and Cornerstone, we now have about 40 mental health therapists.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's pretty huge. I guess the first thing that crosses my mind is maybe the dumbest question, but 40 counselors, are they all keeping busy?
Yes. Since COVID, mental health has really exploded and expanded in all of the ways. And so at times we'll have waiting lists of up to 300 people.
Wow. And so, are most of those people in Las Cruces, or do you have people like calling in? Are you doing, I guess Zoom sessions, or how does that work?
Yeah, a majority would be from Las Cruces, Doña Ana area, but we have clients from from all over the place via Zoom. Some drive in from El Paso, Alamogordo, TRC, Deming. Will come over to see us, but yeah, we all of the counselors stay busy. We're always looking to train new counselors, to hire new counselors. And in addition to the two counseling centers that we have, Amistad and Cornerstone, we also have a child care center called Charlotte's Place. It's a preschool with 60 kids. We have an occupational therapy and speech therapy. That's called the Play Lab. And then we just started a woman's single mom with young children, family living program. And that just opened in February, and we had our first 3 moms living there now. So
family living program.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it sounds like shelter?
It's a little bit more than a shelter. It's a 3-phase program. So right now we're looking for single moms with young children, under 6 preferably right now. And they come into the program and they start in a communal living. It's a home, and they each have their own space, but they share other spaces. And in the program, we support them rent free, but we ask them to be working, going to school. We give them financial literacy. We help them start a savings account. We give them mental health services. We give them pretty much everything to kind of get on their feet and sustain themselves. And then if they are successful in that phase of the program, they move into like a casita living.
Okay.
And then that would be phase 2. Phase 3, they would move into the community, back into their own home, either renting or buying, hopefully.
Okay. All right. And back to the counseling front, with 300 people, sometimes in a waiting list, 40 counselors. I don't even know if this question is possible to answer, but are there like some broad areas that people are really reaching out more about than others?
No, I mean, we get the spectrum. I mean, you're going to get a lot of depression and anxiety, and of course, substance abuse is an issue, and there's a lot of domestic violence in our area, and really, and then trauma, of course, the T word that everybody experiences. So we just get a wide range of different issues from families, and we do see all ages, but especially at Amistad, we focus on children, families. Especially, we're specially trained in helping young children too.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So you said the T word, trauma. We're going to be talking about that. So could you first define what is trauma?
Well, I mean, it's changed over time, and I was in a training just the other day with a lady named Chandra Gopin, who I really respect, and she was using the word danger a lot more than trauma. But we're all in general, we started understanding about trauma when we looked at the military and we saw that they were going into situations that were extremely dangerous and life-threatening, and things were happening to them, and they were having to do things that were just kind of outside of the normal realm of what humans experienced, and they were coming back and they were having all of these symptoms of and they could be the symptom clusters that we look at are when you've experienced trauma is, are you more vigilant? So are you having symptoms like I'm re-experiencing, I'm more jumpy, I'm more anxious, or are you having symptoms that are where you shut down, where I'm pushing stimuli out, I'm trying to numb, I'm trying to stay away from any stimulus. But so a traumatic event, basically, it can be a couple of things. The big T is something happened that shocked my system, made me afraid, made me feel like I was in extreme danger, I could die. And our body has been trained to deal with that in one of those two ways, like I described, fight or flight.
Mm,
And if that's unresolved over time, it can cause a lot of issues um, in the way we see ourselves and the way we react to other people. But what I do want to add in is there's been a lot of talk about the little T's, little traumas, and those are kind of the experiences maybe like as a kid that you have over and over and over again, where I'm routinely don't have enough to eat, or I'm routinely not taken care of in a way that I should be. And sometimes they also call that developmental trauma.
mm. Okay, so before we continue the conversation, I feel the need to give our disclaimer. Nothing in this broadcast is in any way to be construed as medical advice, informational purposes only. We're only here to we're just having to talk to guys. If you're experiencing trauma or anything that we're talking about, find a licensed professional who can really dig into the specifics of your situation. We often say that on this broadcast for all kinds of different things, not just mental health, but also financial planning, legal issues. We cover the gamut, but hopefully these conversations do spark thought, and also not just us staying isolated from each other, but reaching out to folks who can help. So, Deryl, you said, as you explained about what trauma is, before that you said that at Amistad you're really also equipped to help young children. What can trauma look like for a young child?
Yeah, that's a great question. Children experience really everything around them. They really know what's going on. They remember things.
Yeah.
And so one of the things we're doing is trying to give them a voice where they can tell their story. Parents understand that something happened to my child. And you asked what the symptoms are. The same as I described before. Kids are like adults in that way, is that maybe it looks like hyperactivity, kind of looks like ADHD. They have a hard time paying attention. They're moving around a lot. Maybe they're more aggressive than what would be typical for their developmental age. So you have these behaviors that are external and a little extreme. We call it it looks like they have a tornado inside of them. So that's one symptom of children that maybe have experienced trauma or a lot of danger in their lives. The other side of it is they will also withdraw. They can also numb out too. They can, you'll see it as they're checking out. They're daydreaming a lot. They are, they refuse to partake in activities. Maybe they're more afraid of things than would be typical for their age. So those are some of the symptoms that we look for, and those are some of the reasons that families might bring their kids in to see us.
Right. And as I'm listening to this, I guess what I'm hearing you say is you might observe symptoms in your child, and as a parent you're immediately in your mind making a diagnosis. But like you said, it could be ADHD, or it could be there was a traumatic experience. But that's why it's probably not a bad idea to go and ask for some help, so that someone can really dig into it, help you, who's done this before, and get to the root of the issue. Because you think of daydreaming. Well, maybe my child is just a creative genius, or maybe they're withdrawing. That's super interesting. I think, though, for a lot of parents, you're talking about good parents who are looking for help. Not all parents are willing to do that. Speak, though, to the good parents who are a little afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, it's difficult. We call it the reflective process. So this ability that humans can have to sometimes sit back and it's a God-given process that we have, that he says, sometimes you just need to sit back and be quiet and kind of reflect on what's going on in your life and who you are. And if you have kids, the reflective process is very important in parenting, because um, one way to frame it is kids they're always behaving in some way. And if we start to see their behavior as they're just communicating, all their behavior is communicating, and whatever it's telling me as a parent, I can respond in a way, to fulfill that communication. And so you start to realize my kids aren't doing something to me, they're needing something from me. But the issue with reflection and why we don't love to do it is it can often be a painful process.
Yeah.
When you really slow down and take
Sure.
time to think about the world, to think about myself, to think about how am I doing as a parent, sometimes a lot of the things that we're not doing well or the mistakes we may have come up. And it happens in parenting too. So it takes a little bit of bravery. Like you said, why would a parent bring their child in? It does take a little bit of bravery because you're admitting a couple of things. If you do, one, you're admitting I'm not quite sure what I'm dealing with or how to help my child,
Yeah.
which is something we don't want to admit. Two, if we go through this process, and we don't like this as humans either, some of the things that I've done or I'm not proud of might become exposed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I know anytime I see my kids talking to another adult or even a pastor or something like that, I'm like, I hope he's telling the truth.
And the truth that I've taught him to tell.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, but I've learned so much about that. Just our kids need to talk to other people. Of course, we're especially when they're younger, we're the authority in their lives, but it's so healthy for them to have other outlets and adults to talk to, and that's such a healthier and happier experience for everyone, even though some of those conversations, like you said, can be painful because you have to look at, the mistakes I made, and you feel that regret and so on. So if you're just joining us, we're with Deryl Palmer. He's with Amistad Family Services in Las Cruces, and also Cornerstone Christian Counseling, also in Las Cruces. It's super fun to have and important and useful to have these conversations as we learn more about how we interact with each other, how we can love each other more. Also, just getting to know about great people in our community doing really amazing things. I had no idea that Amistad Family Services is as big as it is. Hats off to you all up there. We do need to take a break. Before we go into the break, this is your daily reminder that 915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media, and you can listen to this or any previous 915 Talk conversation by going to our website, which is just that, desertvoice.media. It truly is the highlight of my day each and every day when I get to have these conversations, learn a little bit more. I hope that you are enjoying them as a listener as well. We are going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
Breaking worldwide news. You can now feed your mind, feed your soul with great Christian teaching and talk on Alexa. That's right. All you have to say is, "Hey Alexa, play KELP radio," and boom, instant Christian teaching, talk, and truth 24/7.
This is Pastor Steve Castrita. I'd like to extend the invitation for you to join us in service every Saturday at 5 p.m. at Redeeming Grace Church, El Paso. We are located at 2400 George Dieter inside Iglesia Philadelphia. We're a young church on the east side of El Paso with no smoke, no lasers, and no gimmicks, just the uncompromising Word of God and a call to win the 915 for Jesus Christ. We'd love to meet you and your family. God bless you, and thank you for listening to KELP.
Listening to 915 Talk.
And we're back. You are listening today to 575 Talk because we're talking with Deryl Palmer up in Las Cruces. He's with Amistad Family Services, also Cornerstone Christian Counseling. We're talking about today about trauma, not a super fun conversation, but I believe it is important. And wow, what a great opportunity to deal with these kind of heavy issues and come out on the other side. Deryl, before we went on air, you were talking a little bit about this journey and understanding between counseling in general and Christian counseling. Help us understand what the difference looks like.
I think I'll start with this. I was sharing with you that we started Amistad 15 years ago, and it wasn't necessarily faith-based, but I was a believer. And God's role in my life was important. He had really saved me and changed my course in life and really helped my family and helped me be a better father and husband. And I knew that there's always been this kind of divide between secular counseling and sometimes Christianity or the church. And I felt that in Amistad. One of the beautiful things about Amistad is there were quite a few of us were believers at Amistad, and we did have that faith. And it was interesting how God would bring so many clients that were really interested in exploring their faith, which all of the counseling techniques and everything that you'll learn in school really tells you should let the client lead, one, but that many of them want to explore what they believe or what they don't believe. And so that was always on the table. But I had this draw that I knew that there were people in the community like myself that if I needed to go to a counselor for marriage, for depression, anxiety, substance abuse, pornography, for my kids, I would want to know that they had that same worldview as I did. So a lot of in many ways, Amistad and Cornerstone counselors are trained in almost all of the same techniques, and whether it be what I was talking about, child-parent psychotherapy, trauma with kids, or cognitive behavioral therapy, we do EMDR. They're cross-trained. The big difference is that at Cornerstone, that therapist is definitely going to have that biblical worldview and those values.
Okay. And someone coming in who doesn't have that background, they're not looking for Christian counseling. Are they losing out on something?
I think God is good, and I think He wants us at times to seek out these relationships that can be healing, because if we have time, I would like to get into that too. The importance of relationships and how we see those and how we help. But I believe that if you start taking those steps to get help, that God can use a lot of different avenues and a lot of different people. So I don't know that people are necessarily missing out.
Okay.
I think he'll get you where you need to go. And whichever agency you went in, ours, it's still what I call challenge by choice. I mean, it's still we're not going to push anything on you. We ask, if you go to Cornerstone, we may ask, do you want to pray in session, or how much do you want your faith to be a part of it? And some say every day, and some say really not ever. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to talk about other things. So it's still a lot of client self-determination, and we follow their lead. And vice versa at Amistad, they may want to talk about it every day. That may be the thing that they do want to talk about. Maybe they were hurt at church, or maybe they were, let down by somebody, and they want to share that. So I think especially if we're in the will of God, he's going to lead us down the right path.
Yeah, I love that. Just this idea that there's maybe not really a big reason to, what I'm hearing you say, maybe not a big reason to differentiate, because if we're making steps, God will do his work in our lives. And love that. So we were talking about trauma, particularly childhood trauma, earlier on in our conversation. And before we went on air, you mentioned this term, child parent psychotherapy. What is that?
Yeah, it's a specific trauma treatment protocol developed by Alicia Lieberman and Patricia Van Horn in San Francisco um, quite a few years ago, and it just has it's been one of the most instrumental ways of thinking about relationships and trauma in children. That, along with another thing called circle of security parenting that maybe we can talk about later, which is more about the relationship. But in child parent psychotherapy, we kind of talked about it. You know, children come in or parents come in, and maybe they know that their child has been through a traumatic event. It could be something like bitten by a dog. And now they're afraid of dogs, or you know, they lost grandma or grandpa and they know that it's made them very sad, and they come in and they want to figure that out. Sometimes it's other, you know, longer standing issues maybe we get from protective services, children who've been removed from the home, and things like that. But if we take the simple example of you know, you have a 2 or 3 year old child, and we're going for a walk, and this dog comes out of nowhere and scares you and get bit, and it really terrifies the child, and the parents are like, yeah, my kid's not really sleeping that well anymore. They're kind of afraid of dogs. They're shutting down. They're really clingy. So they'll bring them in. And so in that situation, what we do in child parent psychotherapy is we spend a lot of time getting to know the child and the parents.
Mm.
And this is one of the distinctions that I like about it, is that we understand that this therapy, this trauma therapy, to be the most successful is going to not just involve us helping the child, but it's going to help us help the parent.
Mm.
And so in some ways, they're almost the therapist with us. So we're going to spend time getting to know that family, that parent, what they've been through. Maybe they were bit by a dog too when they were young. We don't know. Maybe that's a trigger for them. But we really want to get to know them, and then we want to get to know the child and all of their symptoms. And we're trying to do a few things. One, we're trying to help parents understand that there is a resolution to this, for one. That kids want to feel safe, they want to be safe, they want to feel like that their parents are there to protect them, but kids want to tell their story. So
Yeah.
kids want to tell their story. And going back to the why parents don't bring their kids in sometimes we don't want them to tell their story. Sometimes we're afraid of their story. Their stories are intense. We don't want that. But we're bringing, and part of this process is, you mentioned it. This is difficult for parents. Sometimes we honor that. We know it is not easy to be a parent in this world, especially if your kid's been through something difficult, and especially if you were part of that difficulty, right?
Yeah.
And you could have been the one that hurt them, but even in the dog situation, you may feel guilty, like, I could have protected them better. Why did I take them for a walk in that neighborhood? You know, there's issues, but we're really partnering with the parent first. And then we help them understand, all right, let's help the kiddos. So let's think about the symptoms, and let's think about their story. So one of the first things we work towards is giving them the story. So we may, after working with the parents for a little while, we may say something like, we may bring the kid in and say, we were going on that walk, and that big doggy came out and not only scared you and scared mom, but he bit you, and it hurt you, and you went to the hospital, and you were really scared, and they took you to the back, and mommy wasn't able to be with you, and that was even more scary. And just in telling them, I just want you to understand that I know that happened to you. I know it was hard, and I'm sorry that I didn't protect you from that doggy. And I'm sorry that they took you alone and you were all by yourself. But I want you to know that you're safe now. I want you to know that not all dogs are scary. Some are safe. I want you to know that it's okay that you're still scared of dogs sometimes. And it's okay that you don't want to leave mom when we go to the doctor sometimes. That all makes sense to me now. And
Mhm.
so we're kind of giving them the story of not only what happened and how it makes sense that they behave in certain ways now, but we're trying to lead them to where's the hope and what are we going to do differently now. And then the final
Mhm.
thing is we say, and we're going to come see Mr. Deryl for however long we need. And in this space, you can play or you can talk about whatever you need to do. And that leads us into kind of the intervention phase where maybe they do a lot of play therapy, which is an amazing thing too. Because this child will very likely play out a lot of those scenarios and those scenes, and sometimes metaphorically, maybe the lion comes out and eats the parents, and we don't know what it is, but it's amazing that that's their counseling. Their
Mm.
counseling is more through play than telling us what happened.
Okay, so I think the first thing I heard in this, which is a big deal, is what is happening is the counselor is not the one telling the child what the future looks like. It's the parent.
Best case scenario it is, and we work them to that point. And of course, if we get to that point and they're not able to tell that story, we'll help them and we'll get in there. But yeah, we're thinking that this is a model that shouldn't just happen in the counseling, space in our room, but hopefully this is happening. It's actually a repeatable model of,
Right. You're
yeah.
giving tools to the parents that they can
Mhm.
use in future situations, and they may or may not come back to Amistad, but they'll have just a couple more tools in their kit to work through different situations with their children.
Yeah. This idea of speaking the unspeakable, I think, is a very biblical principle too. Just in general, bringing these dark things to the light, sharing what has
Mm-mm.
happened, what have I experienced, what did I feel, and it's giving them that model that it's okay to speak these unspeakables. And sometimes there's
Mm-mm.
a lot of guilt and shame and hurt and but once you share them, and I think that's a big part of counseling, is sometimes we're just a witness to that. We're just a witness to you, finally bearing burdens or things that have happened and speaking them out loud. There's something
Yeah.
that God put inside of us that is very important for healing, for that not to be hidden.
Yeah.
That's where shame lives. We want to get it out. So we're teaching them to do that with their kids. Let your kid tell the story. You tell the story to them. Share
Right.
these dark things that have happened.
Wow. Yeah, I love what you're saying, and I guess one of the things that's surprising me is you're using this very simple example of a child gets bit by a dog and is afraid of dogs. I would have never thought of taking one of my kids to counseling over that. Just to put it quite bluntly, I think I would be looking for something bigger, more profound, maybe unique or interesting.
Mhm.
But I love that you're using this very simple example. So with that, what are some signs that you need to seek out counseling? That it is important to go talk to someone, and that this is not something that you're probably able to carry on your own.
Yeah, and the good point, Andy, is that if you're walking along and your child was bit by a dog, there's a chance that it didn't register as a traumatic event for them.
Right.
Um, and so maybe you were there and you protected them and you were able to be with them and for some reason they were able to process that and they weren't later afraid of dogs. They didn't become
Sure.
clingy. Yeah. So we experience a lot of things that maybe don't need counseling, but you might bring them in if those things were happening, right? They're not.
Hmm.
So you think of disruptions in your life, and this goes for adults and kids. So the things that I normally do, I'm not able to do them anymore or not as well.
Mm.
I'm not able to socialize as well. I'm not able to work as well, go to school as well. It's interrupting sleeping. My appetite is different. Moods, of course, right? I'm sad more often than I was before because we all have swings, but if it's happening for a longer period of time and I just don't feel like I can bounce back, If I feel like my thoughts are extremely negative more often than not, I feel like I'm anxious all the time. I feel like I can't concentrate. All of these are symptoms that maybe I need to at least go talk to somebody outside of myself.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So if again, I think you're making the very basic point that not every time you're afraid of a dog, it means you need to go in for counseling.
Mm-hmm.
but if it's continuing to disrupt your life, is the word you used, and affecting your regular, I guess I would use the word flow in life, then that's a sign that it's registered somewhere more deeply, and maybe go talk to someone about it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it's a relational thing that you're doing, and the stigma is much less than it used to be, even in the church and with believers. I think we're starting to understand that these relationships are important, and part of like underneath trauma and underneath all of this is this idea that relationships are the most important thing, right?
Mm,
And that's really what trauma is disrupting. It's disrupting relationship, either the relationship to myself or to other people or to the world. But what really got me started on this idea of relationships is I started studying attachment theory when I was working with these young birth to 3-year-olds in early intervention. And it made me think of Matthew 22, the love your Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. And the second commandment is like this: love your neighbor as yourself. And I started thinking about that, how relational that was, right?
yeah.
And that first relationship is with God. So this way, right? And um and how in all of life, in every area, but especially in mental health, if you want to be okay, that's a relationship that really needs to be intact or being worked on. And even in that verse where it says, with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind, that's a lot of what counselors are doing all the time.
Yeah.
We're working on your thinking. How are you thinking about the world? How are you thinking about what happened to you? Working on your heart, your emotions, your soul, your behaviors, your will. Um, so that's also one of the differences sometimes in Amistad and Cornerstone. Is Cornerstone, we can be a little more upfront and blunt about how is that relationship going for you,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
But then the second one is everything else, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. Very relational again. And
Mhm.
so it talks about loving yourself, which we need to. A lot of counseling has to do with ourself, but it almost always has to do with how we're relating to other people, our
Mhm.
spouses, our kids, our coworkers, um, whoever that is. So kind of what's holding everything together are these relationships, and then we just added in trauma, which disrupts these relationships. Trauma disrupts development. It disrupts safety. It gets in
Mhm.
the way of some of these. So putting that all together, I think God has equipped and trained people, and most counselors have been through most of these experiences, which is another story, to be there so that when and if you're maybe going through one of these situations, you can go to this person and they can kind of walk along with you, not fix you, not change you, but be with you, help you reflect, help you see things differently, and then help in those relationships or that trauma, right? Is your
Mhm.
relationship stuck this way? Is it stuck internally? Is it stuck with other people? So I think when you start seeing it that way, it's not as daunting or scary to maybe enter this other relationship that can help me with some of my relationships or some of the traumas that have happened in my life.
Mhm. Yeah, I love this conversation, this idea that all is about relationship. If you're just joining us, we're with Deryl Palmer. He's with Amistad Family Services and Cornerstone Christian Counseling in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So, as we said, sort of jokingly at the beginning of the program, this is 575 Talk today. We do need to take another break. And this is the part of the program where KELP would like to thank our impact partners. The impact partners are local businesses, churches, nonprofits, educational institutions that have joined us in our journey to serve our community through radio ministry. The one I'm going to point out today is Border Therapy Services. I've shared this story multiple times on air, but I had excruciating back pain and they helped me. I'm thinking of the story in the Bible where the blind man says, I don't know what happened. I was blind, but now I see. and that's my story of the Border Therapy Services. It was excruciating pain. They gave me some exercises, some different stretches, really helped me out. And they help all kinds of people. I personally think it's probably a good idea to visit them before going under the knife. Maybe there's another option out there. I don't know. Again, not medical advice, just my personal story. They have 17 locations in El Paso and southern New Mexico. Their phone number is 915-455-9143. Again, thank you to all our impact partners. You can view all of them by going to kelpradio.com and just scrolling down to that impact partner section. We're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Important announcement. You can now feed your mind, feed your soul with the KELP radio app. Listen to your favorite Christian teaching and talk programs on your smartphone from anywhere in the world with the KELP radio app. You can download the app on your app store now.
Greetings, KELP listeners. This is Terry Gray, pastor of Calvary Chapel, Sun City, and speaker on the Summons broadcast heard each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on this station. Calvary Chapel, Sun City is located at 960 West Borderland Road on the west side of El Paso. We hold services on Wednesday evenings at 7 and on Sunday mornings at 9 and 11. If you are without a church home, we would love to have you join us for worship and Bible study. You can find out more information about us on the web at www.ccsuncity.org.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
And we're back. This is 575 Talk today because we're with Deryl Palmer up in Las Cruces. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Deryl, earlier on in the program, you were talking about trauma, about this having the parents involved in the healing process, really. But you were talking about play therapy, and I have to admit, the first thing that came to my mind was the comedy masterpiece, What About Bob? When the therapist doctor pulls out two dolls and he's trying to get his kids to talk about, I guess, their trauma. But what came to mind was, as you were talking about that in a serious sense, we should probably be paying attention to how our kids are playing.
Absolutely. Play. Some people, they use this term just play a lot. And that kids are just playing. And first I want to share, kids play for a lot of reasons. We share this all the time. They play to develop, right? You build things, you play games, you try new things, you climb, that's play. You do social play, where you're playing in the kitchen and you're feeding each other, and they like to socialize, and there's a lot of reasons for play, but they will play out their deepest thoughts, their fears, their worries, their anxieties, things that have happened to them. They will specifically play them out, and what research has shown is that for them is like us going into a counselor and sharing our story, telling a counselor what happened to me, sharing our burdens, our worries, our fears, our anxieties, telling our story. For a child, they will do that in play, and sometimes very directly, where you can see, oh, you went to the hospital and you got hurt, and they will bring the little ambulance and put the person in there and take it away, and then they'll just start throwing things around, showing that they were angry about it or sad or scared. And then
Mm.
they'll say, come and help me. Sometimes it's very clear, but other times, and many times, it's not, because they also think in metaphors. They think in like a dream world where all the thoughts don't come together. So that same scene of I got hurt and went to the hospital or something, it can be something totally different. It can be this wizard, and they flew off and they entered in another land, and then they started shooting people, and you're just like, okay, I don't know what that means for you, but for them it's important. It's an important process to go through, and it's a healing process for them to go through. And sometimes as adults and as parents, we don't have to answer, we don't have to intervene, we just have to listen, which again is like adults sometimes. We
Mm.
as grown-ups, sometimes we just need to share without somebody fixing it or telling us what to do or changing things. Sometimes we just
Mhm.
need to share our story, which is what kids are doing. Other times they do need intervention, and they'll kind of let us know. They'll start to let us in the play, and we start helping them out, or we hold the baby and rock them. But it's an amazing process, and it's amazing to me how uncomfortable adults can be in that process, including myself at times.
What's the lack of comfort? Just that it's not structured. It's feels like it's out of control, or what is that?
I think that's a part of it. I think it's unstructured, it's out of control. It can be emotional too, because you can
Mm.
sense it as an adult. You can sense like, okay, something big is happening here, and
Mm.
you're telling a story, and that's difficult. Another discomfort is like a lot of things in our lives. Our parents weren't comfortable with play,
Oh
or
yeah.
it wasn't okay, or they weren't okay with it. So a big principle in that in attachment theory is what was uncomfortable for our parents can often
Hmm.
be uncomfortable for us,
Yeah.
which goes back to the reflection. Sometimes we don't know why we're uncomfortable. We just know we are. We know that bothers me. We know this bothers me. But that reflective process sometimes allows us to sit back and say, okay, this is making me really anxious, but what's really going on here? Another
Hmm.
another reason for counseling is we help people with that process, understanding where some of those old attachment wounds came from. And there's a lot of grace in it too, because when you start learning, like, it's not that I don't like my child and I don't want to play with them, but some it's it's
That must be
sometimes free.
freeing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
freeing sometimes to learn, like, well, my parents just weren't good at it, so it makes sense that I'm not good at it, and now it gives me a choice. Do I want to
Right.
tolerate this discomfort, or do I want to get counseling myself and try to deal with it? So a lot of times there can be a lot of grace and freedom in the counseling process.
Yeah, I guess that's you talked about child parent psychotherapy. I guess what I'm hearing you say is the child might come in because they're afraid of dogs because they were bitten by a dog, but the parents also getting some input and help as well.
It is, and what sometimes gets uncovered though is not only does the parent, it's when the kid got bit by the dog, it triggers something in the parent, like it's not okay for you to be hurt, which comes from their
Mm.
past. So they
Yeah.
just weren't able to be as nurturing or as connected as they wanted to be. And sometimes you don't even know that. But through our process, we're slowly hearing their story and understanding their past and getting to know them. And sometimes it's just a beautiful gift when you're able to make those connections for them. Like, you do love your
Mhm.
kid and you wanted to be there for them, but there were some
Yeah.
things kind of stopping you. And once those things are free, it opens up that relationship for you to come in and now be that nurturing person for your child, which is in turn going to help them feel more secure. And they're going to kind of get back on developmental track. They're not going to be as
Mhm.
needy or clingy or afraid at school or afraid of dogs, because now you're able to be with them more.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned another term, circle of security parenting. What is that?
Um, so I like parenting in general. I think we all need some help there. But this is a program. It's based on attachment theory, It's an 8 week. You go for like an hour to an hour and a half, and you can do it in group or individual with a counselor. But it changes parenting in the sense that a lot of it is about the reflective process that I talked about, but it gives you a map. The circle of security gives you a map, and it says, and I think this is very biblical, even though the creators have never really come out and said this, but it says that humans, so kids, think of them as having three distinct needs. Okay, so this
Okay.
we're gonna picture a circle. So the top of the circle, the need for kids, let's say, is the need to go out and explore, to learn, to make friends, try new things. You know, it's this idea that as humans we're wired, and God gave us this desire to go out into the world and do things and produce and learn and meet people. So that's one of the needs that we all have, and that's one of the needs kids have. But on the other side of the circle, you picture this coming in. So if you picture we're the hands of the circle, and going out of away from the hands is this exploration. So I'm this secure hands, like God is our secure hands. I'm letting you go out in the world and explore and try things. The other side, the bottom of the circle is I need you. So I could need comfort, I could need help, I could need I have big emotions, I need you to help me with those, whatever it is. It's just this I need connection. So we're wired to need exploration, but we're also wired to need connection and help.
Okay.
So that's the circle. And really what holds them all together is the hands. And another thing that the hands do, the third need that we have, is we need to know the rules. We need to know what's okay and not okay. You know, we need to know, and the term we use for the hands is we need people to be bigger, stronger, but wiser and kind. So we need that's kind of the discipline area. So if you think about your kids or yourselves really, but your kids, and any behavior they have, you can start to pinpoint where on the circle are they. Are they misbehaving, you know, jumping on the furniture? Is it because that's part of their developmental process? They want to explore. They're at that age where they want to climb things. And then they fall off the couch, and now what is their need, right? They're at the bottom of the circle. They need comfort. They need help. They need somebody to teach them how to climb the furniture without falling. Or is it a hands need? Is it I need to teach them that they need to, you know, listen and respect what I say, or they could get hurt, right? It's a discipline issue. So the circle of security takes parents through, like, here's all the needs your kids have. But the thing I love about it the most is that we internally as parents usually struggle with some parts of those circle more than others. Some people are really good with, yes, go out and explore, but it's not as good for me to be there when you need me. or stay here with me all the time and I'll protect you, never go away. You know,
Right.
And then on the discipline, we use this, I love this. There's like this teeter-totter, the bigger, stronger, wiser kind. And if you're too strong, you'll tip over and you'll become mean. You know? If you're too kind, you can become weak.
Right.
Like just give in to everything. And then you could be like me, which is I'm weak until I get tired of it, and then I get mad and I get mean.
So is that a course that you do, or what does that look like?
It is. It's something that it's out there everywhere. A lot of people are doing it, but I specifically train all of my therapists to do that. So we have groups that we run, you know, kind of 8-week periods where people can come in and do it with a group of other parents, or you can sign up individually and just see a counselor and go through the program.
Right. Okay. So we are just out of time. I'm thinking of 10 follow-up questions to this, but we're out of time, including what happens if one of the parents is on one end of the teeter-totter and one's on the other. I'm sure you go over that.
The good news is that could be a point of contention, or we can help them to embrace it, and maybe that's why God put you together.
Sure.
Is you're good at that side, I'm good at this side. Let's figure out a way to do it better together.
Right. So great. If you're just joining us, we've been with Deryl Palmer today. He's with Amistad Family Services and Cornerstone Christian Counseling in Las Cruces. Again, the hour has just flown by. Really appreciate this conversation, Deryl. We have less than a minute left, so I thought, would you please let our audience know how important Christian radio is in your life?
I listen to Christian radio every single day. all my commutes, it's the first thing I go to. And so driving to work this morning, it was 89.3.
Oh, that's what I wanted to hear. All right. 89.3 FM in Las Cruces. Appreciate that. And I think you were, when we met earlier, you were talking about how for some of the folks who come in, you mentioned that they should start listening to Christian radio, possibly. And they're like, radio, what's a radio? So
they said a podcast? I said, no,
it's in your car.
Yeah, you turn it on. Listen to it.
89.3 FM in Las Cruces. So I appreciate you getting folks to turn that radio back on, and I appreciate our audience up in Las Cruces and all you're doing. Deryl, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Andy.
As we always say, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory. This has been 575 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. To listen to this or any previous edition of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media and click on the 915 Talk link. Let's continue to learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.